Okay, so I'm bolted the battery terminals. Always do the negative first for safety reasons, then the positive. So I've already taken the bracket out and the little foamy thing around insulation. Okay, so I've already done two bolts, two lower bolts here. So these are an 8mm socket, and they're pretty. It's pretty quick to get this. Now you just do the 4 bolts here. Wrong direction. Okay. On the it's 4 bolts here, 2 here, 2 here, 8mm. Okay. And also you have to unplug the temperature sensor cable. The air temperature sensor is right over here. There's also a little plastic ring, rubber ring here to kind of hold it down. You just unhook that over here, down this corner here. You'll see a little ring. I've already removed that. It sits here, and the sensor. There's a sensor here. I just removed the temperature sensor cable right here. Now this just pops in. I've already loosened it. There's just 2 from sockets. So literally, just to separate this, there's a little gasket here to remove. Get that out of the way. Pull that guy up, and you should be able to just. I'm going to fight with it a little bit. Now, there's 2 sockets here. They kind of you might have to snap these out. Mine I already had snapped mine out a little bit. So these kind of sit in like this. So now your air box is out of the way. We'll go to work on removing this guy because we need to get right in there. So to get a 6mm socket, just to loosen the cable clamps here. And this guy here, I find these type of things always kind of stubborn. So I always use like a big flat flathead screwdriver, and I just push down here. I put my flathead screwdriver here just to help pry it out a little bit, but you have to disengage it. So push down here, and then just kind of gently. There she comes there. Okay, because it's stuck in there pretty good. There she is. That is your mass airflow sensor. You have to disconnect. And we'll put that guy down. So yeah, so I just kind of, you still have to disconnect it, but sometimes it's hard to pry it out. So you just kind of, slight little wedging on a big flathead screwdriver does it. Be gentle. Remember, plastic's been there for quite a while. So, okay, so I'm going to proceed with removing the rest of this air hose assembly here. Okay, so we have the accordion tube out of the way, over there. Now, she's going to be a little bit tough getting in this guy. I'm already surveying it. So, you're going to need one of those, probably, I've read, it's probably going to be handy. The alternator is right here. Okay, she's pointing at it, you can see it. Let me see, I'll flash my light on there. Okay, and you get, there's 2 bolts you need to get to. I don't know the size yet. There's one down here you need an extension to get to. I don't know if I can be able to see it down here or not. And the other bolt, you can get that with an extension socket. You cannot use a socket for the other bolt. You're going to have to use just a standard wrench or one of those flex head wrenches that to get at the bolt, which is, let me see if I can even see it in there. I had it in there earlier. You see, she's down there. Okay, so what I'm thinking is going to happen here is you're going to have to get a wrench down in here to get at the one bolt, and another bolt. So you're going to attack it from a socket going down this way. So if you had one of those wrenches with a flexible head with a ratcheting wrench, the word I'm looking for, that's probably going to help you. I don't even know what the size is. So I can't give that. It's going to be metric for sure. And this bracket has to come out that holds the air filter, and it looks to me that these fuel lines are probably going to have to be disconnected. So we'll see when we get there. All right, let's see how she goes. Turned out to be a pain in the ass after all, which I was expecting. All right, okay. So I'm just going to take out this bracket, that 10mm socket for this, please, and this holds the air filter box. So I'm just going to get that out of the way because I need to get that out to get that wrench in there. The wrench is going to be the toughest part of this whole job. Okay, I'm going to need 2 hands here in a second. And yeah, let's just get out of the way. Okay, so in preparation of getting that bolt down here, I removed this this piece here, this vacuum hose component, and then there's a bracket here. It holds the fuel line cable, holds the fuel line cable bracket, which you unbolt from here, and that gives you more, frees up a little more room in here. It's still going to be tight to get in there, to get at that the 13mm bolt, by the way, to get an alternator bracket there. Because it doesn't say that anywhere in the book. I had to stick my hands down there and trial and error and figure it out. So I'm going to try and get a socket, snake a extension down there to get at that 13mm bolt down there. So I cracked it loose here, and actually what I did, I added this extension bar impact socket set over here to give me a little more leverage to just once I did that, I was able to crack it loose pretty easy. So so I just kind of slid it over there, the 3/8 wrench there, socket there, and I just kind of gave a little more leverage, and I'm just going to proceed in getting that bolt out. Alright, so I managed to break this guy loose, so that was a real pain. So I didn't have to use a flex wrench, but it definitely would help if you have one. This is a normal standard 13mm. You can see sitting there, and I just with all my might, I just kind of was able to crack her loose. Definitely spray some W40 or whatever you guys use to break rust buster or whatever to help loosen that bolt up. So yeah, so she's broken loose now, and I'm gonna try and definitely, if you have a flex ratcheting wrench, that would be awesome for this job. 13mm. I don't have one. I had to suffer a little bit, but I think I managed. Okay, next we work on the alternator bracket. 13mm as well down here. That a little tough to crack loose, but I cracked it eventually. So I'll take that guy out, and we'll see how hard it is to wiggle this guy out. Sure, this cable looks pretty stiff, so I'm guessing we might have to obviously get this cable out, the main 12 battery line to it. Okay, so next we unbolt the 12-volt line from the alternator. Just crack it loose there. There's 2 to do. 13, as far as I can see, the 13mm on top, but I just cracked loose. Down there, and 10mm underneath. That's 12 volt. Try and get that 12 volt stiff 12 volt cable assembly out. Okay, so this is the 12 volt line. Just kind of, it continues on there. Probably goes to the alternator. So you just kind of push that back out of the way, and then you can see that your alternator's, your starter is free to kind of wiggle out. So let's see how that works out. So all right. Okay, there's a starter. You see, it's kind of in the front of it is sticking up. Let's do a play-by-play with the new one. It sits like this in the engine. Okay, it's going to be really hard to get out. You got all this plumbing in the way here, and it's hard. Moving that plumbing isn't going to help much. So, so you take. I found with a lot of struggling so far is take the starter and flip it up like this, okay, and you're gonna pull it out like this. So that's as far as I got. Now you can see I'm in the final position of being yanked out. It's gonna be binding quite a bit with the 12 volt cable over there. It's pretty stiff, but that's the strategy of pulling it out. You have to pull it out the front first, so you have to turn it around in there and wiggle it up this way. It's got to come out. It's got to come out on this side. Don't try pulling out. I thought maybe I can go underneath the battery tray and come out the bottom. I might enter in that way, but she's a real. This starter is a real pain in the butt to get out. So I wiggle it so it's facing outwards, and then finally you can pull it out that way. Don't try pulling it out any other way. So that's the front. Try and turn it and pull it up this way here. Give you an idea of how it is. Okay. So here she comes up. You gotta pull these hoses back quite a bit, and out she comes. Okay, there she is. There is the alternator from hell. So it was tough going, but we got her out. So I'm gonna break for lunch, well deserved, and get the new one back in. Okay, the starter is back in right there. Now here's some advice that I learned the hard way. You have to be very careful. There's 2 bolts, but there's 2 pins, the alignment pins. You'll see those pins. You have to focus on those pins when putting it in, because you have to make sure those line up. Now, I had a hard time. I could line up the pins, but I could never get them both to go in at the same time. I had a feeling it was a meshing between the gears. I tried turning the cogwheel a little bit, but I had problems. So, solution to this is you put the starter in. Okay, line the pin up on this side, and make sure the pin. And if both pins drop down right away, that's great. If not, put the bolt down, hand thread the bolt on the left side all the way down, as tight as you can get it, by finger tight. Line up the pin on this side and get the other pin lined up the best you can. Then start the other side with it, because you have access to a socket in this side where you don't in this side. Then using the socket, you can tighten up, and it should kind of mesh together doing that. And that seemed to line up. I couldn't get it to line up any other way. So then the pins dropped in, the 2 pins, and then that's the way of doing it. So put the left bolt in first, finger tighten it as hard as you can, then and have the pins line up as best as possible. They may just drop in right away for you, but it wouldn't both. I couldn't get both to line up perfectly. Line up the left. I'd line up the left side, then I'd drop the bolt on the right hand side. Use the socket to tighten gently the starter down, and then it all kind of came in, and then all lined up. All the pins all fell into place. So now it's all lined up, and so you can just make sure there's no gap underneath here, right? Because let me grab something shiny. So you want to make sure that looking underneath here, that there's no gap here. Okay, if there's a gap here and your pin, you have a problem with your pin, and the pin's not lined up. This is the pin here, and there's a pin, alignment pin over there. So there should be no gaps here at all when you got it down finger tight. And so take a look at that. All right, so I'm gonna tighten all the bolts up really good and put the rear support bracket on. It might be easier to put the support bracket on first. Because I had pin alignment issues, I took that bracket off, but that wasn't probably an issue with that bracket. So put the support bracket on. When you put the support bracket on, remember to don't forget this ground wire here. Okay, don't forget that ground wire that goes on the bolt where the support bracket bolts to the engine. Okay, that's important that that's there. And then you can proceed with once that's all tightened up, you can proceed with this guy here, getting the power cable plugged back in, if you can even see that. Let me see the light over there. There we go. That's what we need. Okay, so sorry I'm freehanding this live. So yeah, so then you line up your power in there. So let's get it all buttoned up and see if we can get this guy fixed. Okay, so he's all bolted in now, all the wiring's in. And earlier, before I started, I started the car and I pulled fuse number 14 just to kill the fuel pump, because I wanted to start it afterwards without the engine running, just to see how she sounds, make sure she's meshing good. And yeah, I just did that. I ran the starter for a while and it sounded pretty good. So I'm going to proceed with putting the rest of it back together again and put the fuel pump's fuse back in, and then I'll start up for good. But yeah, she sounded pretty good. So that was just something that I do, but if you want to do the same, you just need to pull fuse number 14, which is right there, and then let the car stall while it's running, and then you have no fuel in the lines, and she won't start when you turn the starter. And that allows me to listen to how she sounds and all that stuff with no engine running. It sounded pretty clean, sounded nice. So yeah, I guess she looks pretty good. Hopefully she lasts for a while, because she was a bit of a pain to put in. It's one of those things, slow the first time, has always been fast when you do it 2 or 3 times after that. So all right, so hopefully the advice on this adventure, you learn something from this and help you do your starter when it goes. Okay, take care.